Hi, my name is Logan Walter. I'm a worship leader at the Austin Stone, both at the St. John campus and the downtown campus. And tonight, I'm going to be teaching at Austin Stone Worship Development about crafting transitions in corporate worship. A few months ago, I was leading at the downtown campus, and after the services, there was 4 services, I got the same 3 comments. 1, that the Spirit was moving in the room. 2, that people were singing loudly, hopefully. And 3, that people love the transitions. And so those first 2 are obviously the most important. We're called as worship leaders to engage people with God's presence with song. But I believe that third one, the transitions comment, is also important. And we see this in the Bible through the structure of Paul's letters, through the structure of Christ's teachings, and through the structure of the Psalms. Just one example is Psalm 119, which is divided into 22 different parts, one for each letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And scholars say that this is both for aesthetic reasons. It's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's used as a memorization aid. It helps people to follow a train of thought. And so this is what we're doing when we're crafting set lists. We're creating something that's beautiful and pleasing to the Lord, and also something that helps people to follow a train of thought. So my set list process begins with communication with the teaching pastor. I go to the teaching pastor, I ask for the sermon passage, and I ask for any info he has about how he's landing the plane or how we are going into the sermon from the worship set. And then the second thing I do is I read that passage and I pray for the Spirit to give me discernment. Then, thirdly, I go to Planning Center Online, if you have that resource at your church, and I look at the set lists that have been led for the last 2 months at this campus or this church. And I see what songs are familiar, what songs are overplayed, what songs will fall fresh on the congregants' ears and need to be kept in front of them. And from this information, I create a list of about 10 to 20 songs that are possibilities. And then I pray again and I start to visualize how to go from one song to the next. I'll pick a song or 2 that are just no-brainers. They go along with the sermon, or they clearly need to be kept in front of the congregation during a specific season of worship. And I'll start with those 1 or 2 songs, then I'll visualize how to go from that song to another song on the list, and then to a third song on the list. And at some point, I'll visualize praying or briefly teaching. And I'll ask the Holy Spirit during my planning process to bless this time, because sometimes that's a spontaneous thing that happens during the worship, a spontaneous time of preaching or a spontaneous time of prayer. But the Holy Spirit is just as likely to bless the preparation process. God stands outside of time, so he can bless you both in your preparation and in the moment. So my prayer for you is that the set list planning process and the transitions crafting process would be an act of private worship to God, and that your private worship would always outweigh your public worship. So after I teach on this, there's always lots of questions. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, logan@austinstone.org.